I'm Kim Clark, live in Germantown, where the death toll rises. I'll have the latest coming up in a live report.
And this open-air classroom forces some Houston high school students to stay home. And a grisly murderer.
E5 Memphis. Now, live from the Mid-South's news leader, this is Action News 5 at noon.
3 people are now confirmed dead in Germantown after yesterday's tornado. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jane Siegel. The tornado blows in a trail of death and massive destruction for dozens of Shelby County families. What is now a pile of rubble used to be a family's home. This is the scene in Germantown as blocks and blocks of homes are destroyed. Over 25 Shelby County homes are now wreckage and over 150 others damaged. Cars were tossed around and dozens of trees uprooted. Germantown's Methodist Hospital reports treating 13 people. 6 are still hospitalized today. Germantown rescue workers recovered 2 more bodies this morning, bringing the total number of those dead in Shelby County to 3. Kim Clark has been following the story all day and joins us now live from Dogwood Grove subdivision. Kim?
Jane, I'm here on Gotten Way where the 3 bodies were found. 1 last night, 2 this morning around 9:30. Right now, though, the important task here is cleanup which has begun in earnest. But earlier, the grim search for bodies was most important. Yesterday, as I mentioned, authorities found the body of 44-year-old land surveyor Walter Persons inside his home. This morning, the search resumed for Persons' brother-in-law and Persons' 11-year-old son. Shortly after 9:30, rescuers found the 2 bodies together in the crushed first floor of the home.
Well, it's been a real tedious task, and our environmental services people and fire department emergency service people have done a tremendous job out here. As you can see, the debris behind us has been pretty catastrophic, and they went through a lot of trouble going through there, very carefully removing 1 board at a time, and it's been a very tedious operation.
It has been a very tedious operation. The crews have been out here. Most of them had been on shift since 7 o'clock yesterday morning, their regular shift, when the emergency struck, and they had to be out here, and most of them stayed out here throughout this morning search until they found the bodies at 9:30. That's over 24 hours. And another group of people that have been working very hard are MLG&W crews trying to get power restored to those without power. Joining me now to talk more about that is Mark Heiberger with MLG&W. Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining us. First of all, how many homes are we talking about here?
We've got about 2,000 people still without power, basically in this Dogwood area. The borders are Dogwood, Houston Levee Road, Forest Hill, Irene, and Poplar. We still have about 2,000 people out in that area. We know about the people who live in this area, and they don't need to call us to let us know their power is off. However, if there are people that live outside of this area who still are without electric power, they need to call us at 544-MLGW.
Okay. Now, we were talking a little bit earlier, and one of the things that probably helped in this weekend's storm was the fact that a lot of the cable here is underground. The electrical lines, rather, are underground, but that also poses some problems for you.
Right. It is, at one point, is advantageous that this is an underground electrically served subdivision. However, the power is brought to this subdivision via an overhead distribution system, and that overhead distribution system was virtually destroyed by this storm. It's right behind us, and it goes back behind Poplar and on over into Winchester. So we're going to have to virtually rebuild our overhead distribution system that serves this area, and we're projecting that it's going to be approximately the weekend before everyone has their power back on.
And that is just an approximation at this point.
Well, we feel pretty sure that it will go up into the weekend before everyone has their power back on.
Okay. Mark, thank you very much for joining us and talking about this problem today. Okay. Once again, just to recap, it'll be probably the weekend before most of the people here in this area get their power back. As Mark mentioned, they know about the folks here in the Dogwood Grove subdivision, so there's no need, if you live in the Dogwood Grove subdivision, for you to call MLG&W. If you live outside of this area and you do not have power, those are the folks they need to know about. Give them a call. Right now, just to recap again, 3 people are now confirmed dead here in Germantown. In the home, actually, right behind me, if you can pan over, Bo, you can see what's left of the house. Crews had to use shovels and power tools to get, not power tools, but power lifters to get the home sort of separated and off part of its foundation before they could find the last 2 bodies in the home this morning around 9:30. It's incredible what a tornado can do. And this kind of sums it all up. Right now, this is Kim Clark reporting live from Germantown. Jane?
Thank you very much, Kim. Tennessee Emergency Management Agency workers surveyed the Germantown storm damage early this morning from the air, and they are working with officials from Shelby County and Germantown to determine if this will be declared a disaster area. 1,900 students at Houston High School enjoyed the day off today, but for school officials surveying the damage, it was not a day to get excited about at all. On the northwest side of the building, an entire wall ripped away, exposing the classroom. And all along Dogwood Road, air conditioning units that were ripped from the roof were left in piles of twisted sheet metal. It's ironic how a tornado picks and chooses its victims. Natalie Barker's speech and English class was destroyed, while right next door, Ann Rouse's senior English classroom escaped untouched. It didn't even disturb the tissue on her desk. That's the scene that greeted Shelby County School Superintendent James Anderson this morning.
We have structural damage, a lot of roof damage. Our heating and air conditioning has been affected. So we'll probably spend most of the morning and probably maybe the full day trying to examine it and just see where we stand.
We will have an update at 5 o'clock on the Houston High School closing, as well as these other schools: Houston Middle School, Farmington Elementary School, Dogwood Elementary, ECS Dogwood Branch. Those are the schools. Germantown police cordoned off several neighborhoods to keep traffic down so work crews could get in. And they took that restricted access policy one step further by saying anybody who had business in the damaged neighborhoods had to sign in at the Germantown Police Department command post to prove they had business in the area. Most of the people signing in were residents who saw their homes for the first time since yesterday afternoon. One of them was a Swedish exchange student who heard about the tornado from a cab driver at the airport.
I have to find out the other family I live with, where they are and stuff, how they're doing, and see everything is working and stuff.
And when we talked to her, she still hadn't found the family she was living with. For people with tornado damage or no utilities in Germantown, there is a shelter available. Houston Middle School will be open with food, beverages, and a place to sleep. Houston Middle School is within walking distance of the worst damage. And now you can help the Mid-South tornado victims by donating goods or volunteering your time. For more information, call the Red Cross at 726-1690. Again, that number is 726-1690.
The death toll rises as the Mid-South cleans up after yesterday's storms.
We'll have extensive storm team coverage coming up next on News Channel 3 at 6.
I'm Steve Hayslip, live in Germantown. We'll take you past the bricks and tell you about one of the victims in this tragedy. That story just ahead.
And I'm Dennis Turner at Houston Middle School. This is the shelter for most of the people who lost everything. We'll talk with some of them coming up.
I'm Tommy Stafford in Crockett County, Tennessee. We'll show you how the cleanup is progressing here, coming up next on News Channel 3 at 6.
And Glenn Carver shows you what to expect when the CFL comes to Memphis.
Stay tuned for those stories and more next on News Channel 3 at 6.
Dennis Turner is in another neighborhood nearby with more on that. Dennis?
Steve, I'm at Houston Middle School. This is where many of the homeless families are coming for a little warmth, some light, and perhaps something to eat. And for many, it's the only comfort they have right now.
It happens to somebody else, not us.
Karen Glaus was away when the tornado struck. She returned home to a pile of rubble. With the help of friends, the Glaus family has been struggling to find anything they can of their belongings.
Oh, it's not clean up. We're just trying to find some little things, pictures, and we've done a good job at getting some pictures and just little mementos. That's all we got left.
The work here is physically difficult, but for many, it's the emotional trauma of losing a home that's hard to bear. Still, Bill Glaus says he's still numb. Does shock even begin to describe what you're going through?
I don't think it'll hit for, who knows when it'll really hit. But there's people worse off than us, so we just have our burdens to say.
Down the street, the Crawford family did some cleaning up of their own. They still had 4 walls left, but there was still plenty of emotional damage.
It's devastating, but we're all safe and alive, and that's real important. Things are in places that you would never never imagine, and the effect that it had, and it had it so quickly.
And now these families must salvage what they can and start over again. Some, like the Glouses, will start over completely with little or nothing. Others, like the Crawfords, say they might just as well do the same.
We work hard here today and trying to get everything out, and we probably won't be back in the house after today.
And that's probably a good thing. Several of the homes are barely standing, and police say that they fear some of the structures represent a significant risk of collapse. Jerry?
What's being done to shore them up and ensure the people's safety, Dennis?
Well, Jerry, shortly after this whole thing happened, building inspectors came in and they've surveyed most of the homes and structures here. Those marked with a yellow notice are okay to go into on a restricted basis, but those with red tags are off limits completely. Now, the last time I saw anything like this sort of a system, was right after the 1989 earthquake in San Francisco. It worked very well there, and they're hoping that it'll help prevent some injuries here from people trying to go in and get those last few mementos.
All right, that's Dennis Turner live at Houston Middle School. By the way, State Farm Insurance Company is setting up a trailer at Houston Middle School for anyone who might need help with their insurance, or if you just have any questions, the State Farm trailer is the place to go. They tell me that's at Houston Middle School. The trailer will be open 7 to 7 for the rest of the week. Pam?
There are still many people in Shelby County without power. MLG&W says there are still about 2,000 customers without electricity in the Germantown, Collierville area. Crews are working throughout the night, but some people may not have power until as late as this weekend. Because of the tornado damage in Germantown, Houston High School and Middle School will be closed again tomorrow, but all other schools will be open. Again, only Houston High School and Houston Middle School will be closed tomorrow.
Ended on a miserable note across much of the country, a fierce weather system that caused major travel delays on the busiest travel day of the year. But the worst of it was in Tennessee, where killer tornadoes touched down. More on that from NBC's Bob Dotson tonight.
From the air this morning, Germantown, Tennessee looked like a child's board game that ended angrily. 25 homes destroyed, 150 damaged. Searchers spent much of the day looking for the last of 16 people, missing since the twisters swept through this wealthy Memphis suburb Sunday afternoon. All 16 were attending a family reunion. 13 were pulled from a pile of bricks and boards and hospitalized. 3 more were found dead, including Walter Person, Jr., who had just bought the home. 70 miles away in Friendship, Tennessee, another twister left an elderly woman dead. 2 more died in a mobile home in McGee, Mississippi. Much of the South was under a tornado watch as the cold front slid east. Atlanta was encased in fog, causing the crash of this small plane overnight. The pilot killed trying in vain to find the runways at 2 airports.
There's a whole mess down here, too.
The massive weather system also sent wintry blasts further north. Minnesota had up to 15 inches of snow, which caused hundreds of car accidents, including 2 fatal crashes, before this first big snowstorm of the season blew away into memory. Bob Dotson, NBC News.